She was my HR manager, and she was married. I guess you never really know what to expect on your first day at a new job. Fresh out of college, I'd just landed a position at a small to mid-sized company with a supposedly great culture. My new boss wouldn't meet me until after HR went over my paperwork and orientation. Seemed straightforward enough. But the last thing I expected was to end up in a back seat hooking up with the HR manager. Yet, here I am, replaying it all in my head, wondering where this leaves us both, and whether I've just made the biggest mistake of my brand new career. My first day and the unusual vibe. I arrived for my first day bright and early, a mix of nerves and excitement swirling in my gut. Barb, the HR manager, was assigned to guide me through the usual new hire process. Forms, policies, a facilities tour, all that. She was immediately very outgoing, touchy even. During the interview, I'd noticed how she placed a hand on my back as she led me out of the conference room. That day, in her office, it escalated. Her workspace was typical HR. Pictures of her kids in high school, a shot of her husband, smiley family photos. But as she pulled me closer to explain the paperwork, her knee pressed against mine, her bare leg brushing my hand. It felt oddly intimate, especially for an HR manager. I kept telling myself maybe she's just a super tactile person, but my heart pounded whenever she leaned in or put a hand on my back. Part of me was thinking, is this normal? Another part was thinking, this is kinda hot. I mean, she's an attractive woman, tall, a bit curvy, with a welcoming grin, and she was definitely crossing lines. But I said nothing. The rest of that first day, after we finished the orientation, was standard. I met my boss, got introduced to the team, even enjoyed the job. On my second day, Barb popped by a few times, checking if everything was going well. She mentioned how a group of co-workers went out for drinks every Tuesday and suggested I join them. It'd be a great way to meet folks socially. By Tuesday afternoon, I decided, why not? So after work, I headed to the bar, not suspecting how the evening would end. Barb was there, along with a few others. We talked, joked, drank. People came and left until it was just me, Barb, and another woman. I was seated beside Barb, and as we chatted, I felt her knee against mine again. She'd occasionally brush her hand over my leg, give a playful squeeze while laughing. At first, I chalked it up to her flirty personality, but I couldn't ignore how she kept edging closer. When the other woman decided to call it a night, Barb insisted I stay for one more drink while she finished hers. The second we were alone, she got bolder, resting her hand on my thigh, murmuring something about how I looked good, how she was glad I came out. I asked, "Aren't you married?" She laughed, shrugged, said her husband was no saint. That basically answered the question. She admitted she wasn't perfect either, that she'd done stuff before. I ended up ordering that extra drink, adrenaline flooding my system as we flirted shamelessly. I'm not sure if it was the alcohol or just the sheer taboo, but next thing I knew, we were touching each other under the table. She asked about my place. I told her I'd just moved back home until I found an apartment. She teased, "That means no place for me to come see. Guess we'll have to use your car." We laughed, paid the tab, and walked out to the parking lot. We climbed into my car, instantly started making out. Her lips tasted like the fruity drink she'd been having. My heart hammered as she grabbed my belt, whispering, "Drive somewhere private." I started the engine, her hand already fumbling with my zipper, massaging me through my pants. It felt insane. She's the HR manager, older, married, and yet we were diving into this like reckless teenagers. I glimpsed a business park across the road, so I pulled around to the back near a shipping dock. Hardly romantic, but it was hidden from most passers-by. The next few minutes blurred into raw passion. We crawled into the back seat. She stripped off her clothes, and I followed suit. The windows fogged up as she straddled me, our breaths ragged, moans escaping. We lost ourselves for a few minutes, her hips grinding against me gripping her waist, the smell of sweat and perfume saturating the air. She was vocal, letting out OMG and "this is so hot" as we found a frantic rhythm. I can't lie, it was unbelievably intense. My mind reeled. I was hooking up with a married woman from HR in the back of my car behind a dumpster. When I finished, she sank her head onto my shoulder, both of us panting. She gave a playful grin. Wow, that was something. After she got dressed, I drove her to her car. Right before she hopped out, she smirked and said, "Oh, I have a document you need to sign in my office tomorrow. Stop by, okay?" Then she was gone, leaving me alone in my seat, reeling. My body still buzzed from adrenaline, but guilt, excitement, fear, they all mixed in the pit of my stomach. What did I just do? The next day, I showed up at work with a knot in my gut. Should I avoid her? Try to pretend we were just drunk? But she sent me a casual email around mid-morning. "Hey, can you swing by HR for that paperwork?" So I did. She was all business, leading me into her office with that same gentle hand on my back, closing the door behind us. My eyes darted to photos of her smiling family. Her husband, kids in high school. My conscience twisted. She offered a coy smile, asked how my evening went after she left. I mumbled something about crashing at home, and she brushed it off with a wink. Well, I had a great time. That was it. No talk about regrets or boundaries. We signed a few HR forms, she touched my arm, and I left, my face flushed. As the days passed, we continued to exchange knowing smiles whenever we passed in the hallway. She occasionally dropped by my desk, leaning too close, whispering about, "Maybe next time we find a real bed." Meanwhile, I'm grappling with the realization that she's not only older but married, with teenage kids, and she's also my HR manager, a position that's usually the last place you'd expect a scandalous fling. I worry about the moral implications, the workplace issues, and how it might blow up in my face if anyone found out. I don't know how far this will go or if we'll keep hooking up. Part of me wonders if she just likes the thrill. Another part wonders if she's looking for a real affair. And me? I'm stuck between guilt and excitement. I can't deny it was hot, but the potential fallout terrifies me. Losing this job, being blacklisted, or even sparking a messy confrontation with her husband, all because of one backseat encounter. So far, she's acted like everything's normal, just a bit more flirty. But how long can we keep it secret, especially in a smaller company where rumors spread fast? And the fact that she's in HR, that's a powder keg if there ever was one. That's the story as it stands now, and there's no neat resolution. I'm not sure if we'll do it again or if this was a one-time lapse in judgment. I have zero illusions about a future with her. She has a family, a mortgage, everything else. I'm just a new hire fresh out of college. But at the same time, the temptation is real. Every time she swings by wearing a skirt, giving me that conspiratorial smile, my heart races. There's no moral or lesson here, just the truth of my predicament. I had an impulsive, intense sexual encounter with my married HR manager, and I'm left navigating the guilt, the fear, and the insane thrill. No disclaimers, no happily ever after. Just a messy situation I can't quite see the end of. Maybe it'll implode at work, maybe we'll fade out quietly. But right now, I'm lying awake each night thinking, what the hell have I done?